We are rolling through a mega week 3 PR advertising and brand management, exploring questions with relation to advertising and television. And let's look at some questions from John Lee. He's got questions for us, starting with some regarding Blakeman Integrated Marketing Communication, IMC book. Chapter 12. For the ways Netflix shows can be broadcast without 30-second commercials by characters mentioning a brand name in their way of life. It's not me. Page 177. Is it possible this can be the start of a new trend for television? So what we're getting at here is brand names being mentioned within the narrative. I think that's what the question is getting at. The old is new. This is not a new concept, but we find ways to reinvent the wheel. Check out vintage ads from radio serials and how they integrate products 75 years ago, and you'll find examples. But even in contemporary television, The Sopranos did this a lot. If anyone has partaken of that show or go back and study it, there's some clear integrated marketing. Coca-Cola there are instances where the family specifically talk about Coke, and there's an irony there too. It's intentional of like we're a Coke family, all right. So we're American. We're not buying Pepsi, right? Just the implication. But there is a lot of product placement within that show, which is interesting because it's a prestige TV drama on a pay cable channel. All right, we don't necessarily always think about or ever associate an HBO or a Showtime with actual brands and commercials, but they have learned to build those in quite well. American Idol, as someone that didn't watch that show a whole lot, but I can say this: tell me right now, without looking, just like that, you all, what sat on the table in front of the judges? All right, what kind of product? Hint: it was a beverage. Whatever the first thing is you think of, it was probably that. All right, have you thought of it yet? The answer is Coke. Okay. Set in front of Simon every time. Think about the post-game interview with athletes, coaches, all right? There's always a strategic bottle of something just positioned in such a way right up there at the podium. Okay? Sometimes they touch it. Sometimes they don't ever touch it. I wonder if Gatorade pays any money to have that bottle sitting up there. Oh, wait, Gatorade. Who owns Gatorade again? Oh, Pepsi does. Okay. Right. Sometimes it's outright a soft drink sitting up there, which is funny because we're conditioned to think athletes no soft drinks and so on, right? And that sort of thing. No fast food, no soft drinks. These whole diets or whatever. But when the marketing's right, Michael Jordan's like slam dunking a Big Mac or something. A storyboard is much like a comic strip that comes to life. Page 182. Can television shows be made into comic strips as easily as comic strips can become television shows? I don't know about as easily, but that transference to comics is actually cheaper, okay? This is a cheaper medium. This is the only reason the comics medium has been able to survive. It's because of relatively, by comparison, low production costs, okay? So there's not that much overhead. Otherwise, comics industry has faced a number of issues, right, in its history. But topic of TV shows translated to comic strips. Not only is it easy, it's prolific, okay? There are comic book translations to many of your possible favorite genre shows. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Firefly, even animated adaptations. Okay, so not only does, say, a Batman or a Ninja Turtles come from comics to begin with, but the actual look of the cartoon shows themselves have translated back into comics. Batman the Animated Series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, CSI. I recall finding a graphic novel of CSI in a Barnes and Noble at one point in the mid 2000s. Almost bought it. I don't know if I ever would have read it if I had bought it. I thought it was interesting. True Blood. I believe there's a series of books. Well, and it's based on a series of books. So we see these things happening in cycles. They loop around. Supernatural. And speaking of, Supernatural just had a crossover episode. I kid you not, right? This CW drama. And the crossover episode was... And it was an animated episode that was a crossover with the Scooby-Doo cast. Okay, so that's a show that is not afraid to explore those creative ambiguities and go full meta on its audience. And the audience loves it. Chapter 8. The internet lost bringing audiences together. Page 224. So why is the internet rising in number of viewers? Is it due to the internet being more private, or perhaps reaching them on a personal level? All right, so all the research is suggesting our attention spans are declining. Internet typically moves faster and faster, content quicker and quicker. You can change pages instantly, you change programs instantly, a lot more control. Here we go with the air quotes words again, like control and choice. The internet gives you those things, right, in air quotes. And so young, and also there's maybe a response is young people don't like TV because parents, right, roll eyes and speed, but uses and gratifications and so on. There's a perception for a lot of people that TV is old-fashioned now. Okay, now it's the old-fashioned thing. So people don't want to be associated with something that seems to be out of style. The trick is advertisers are just leading us from one room to the next room to the next room. Okay, and we might just be doing the same thing in a different room, right? I'm ready to get to the point where it's old-fashioned to be looking down at your phone all the time when you're trying to have a conversation with someone in a restaurant, or I'm ready for the time when it's old-fashioned to be texting in the middle of a movie theater. Okay, let's go ahead and let's trend out of those happenings. Berger, chapter 4, page 76-77. We are made aware of the cost to make television commercial. Can we expect cost to drop due to broadcasting such as Netflix streaming options? No. Call me cynical. You may see actual increases in advertising because, and I've seen this from the other side of things. This is because they have to recoup the losses in those ad sales. But what you are seeing is new strategies. All right, so packaged ad deals. Okay, this is classic, right? Selling ads that are packaged deals. This is very meta, right? Packaged ad deals to sell to advertisees. Just like a TV, just like a bundle deal, right, with our media outlets. Ad bundles. They probably call them that already. I think they do. In Wiley's thesis, page 85, he explains that it's much easier to sell products to those who are relaxed. Does this imply that products sell easier late at night? A little bit. Also, in terms of, it's much easier to sell products to those who are relaxed. Notice how much stuff, okay, having gone back and reread Wiley's thesis, think about the stuff Star Wars fans collect, okay, right? This sort of, when there's a, that's going to take too long to unpack. I'm just going to abandon my response to that question there, right? Delete. The 1984 commercial for Macintosh Apple ad, discussed on 185, was truly a phenomenal way of approaching the audience. Agreed. Would this be regarded as a work of genius for the computer trend? Sure. Yeah, no. It was an industry game changer in so many ways, and but it didn't necessarily mean it was instant success. It was not, and that's part of the fascinating history there. And sometimes sometimes for ads, it may not be about the campaign succeeding or the ad succeeding, but about the impression it makes, right? The staying power of how it can impress, embed itself in our collective consciousness, and our shared or public memory. This commercial launching the Macintosh, page 200, brought out several scholarly opinions. Was the return on sales for Macintosh more of a surprise than the commercial itself? It was not a hit at first. This was a big gamble too, and this was a break the bank kind of ad. Took a lot and some strategic risk to even get on the air, and as history shows, it only aired the one time. Right, it became more of a myth. There's sort of a post 1984 ad mythologization about it more than it actually being a successful experience. So that is something to think about. Okay, we're gonna pause it right there, and we're gonna be back with final thoughts for week 3 video lecture.